Yeah, I mean, catch and kill, we now have started throwing it around, right? Because we've been talking about Trump for so long. You've sort of brought us inside what that looks like, how weird this arrangement was with Trump. But who I mean, I thought she did some, I feel bad that I always describe her as porn star Stormy Daniels. I mean, she was a person with a life and a child and a mother who disappeared when she was 17. But for having sex in Tahoe with Donald Trump, who basically, I don't want to use the word seduce because the sex she describes isn't particularly sexual, but lures her in with conversations that she thinks are about her career, about the film she directs. And then she's so, for whatever reason, eager to keep the story silent. She talks about her partner, her husband, who's struggling himself with alcoholism and some postpartum issues after their daughter's born, that she's desperate to keep the story silent. But I thought it was a little bit of an anatomy of whose stories can be caught and killed.
And there was this sort of tale of the tape, this retelling, wasn't there, where the story starts bubbling up with In Touch magazine. And she's put in this position where she feels that if she doesn't cooperate with the reporter, she won't own her story. So that's sort of the first attempt that this happens to come out.
And how does that get out? Like, how does In Touch find
Well, they must have had a tip-off from someone. Someone was obviously looking for a payday. One of her friends probably sold her out. So the reporter then contacts her and says, well, you might as well cash in as well and therefore own the story. So we know that goes on. I think that was around 2011. And then The Dirty, this website, this gossip website, then the story again resurfaces. But Keith Davidson manages to do a cease and desist and gets the story off until it comes back around again in 2016 during the election. And we know from past evidence that Gina Rodriguez, her agent, Dylan Howard, one of Dylan Howard's top sources, was trying to shop the story in the middle of that year, the summer of 16. There isn't that much interest. Fast forward to the Access Hollywood tape, and here you have American media, Dylan Howard, David Pecker, who are very keen to take this story off the market, although David Pecker is not keen to be the bank, and then puts them in touch with Michael Cohen, who then has to do that payoff. So for me, it was interesting to sort of see this kind of series of events of her story, finally coming into public view.
I thought it was interesting, and again, understanding the Karen McDougal catch and kill better through a lot of your appearances. I thought it was interesting that Stormy came before Karen, and I'm not sure we know for sure whether Karen McDougal will testify, but the beta case is McDougal, and that's when Pecker is still serving at the bank. The alleged criminality comes in when Pecker says, I am not a bank, and then Cohen and Trump falsify business records to pay Stormy. Just talk about the practice moving from Pecker as the bank to Pecker drawing this line. It seems like he retains some campaign finance counsel, maybe after Schwarzenegger, and says, I can't be laying out $130,000. As you've educated us, it's so above the amount that you guys had to work with. Talk about what happens from McDougal to Stormy.
I think what's, again, important to note here is that American media at that point, the company I was working for, we were a de facto part of the campaign. I just didn't know about it at the time. We were being used as Oppo Research. We were running these covers, and then we were also being used as this outfit to, hunt down these stories and then take them off the market. So Karen McDougal, happens. And then by the time, Stormy Daniels is there, firstly, David Peck is aware of the campaign finance issues because the lawyer has gone out and got that advice and said, this is a bad idea. And then secondly, he's, annoyed that he's not being paid back for these other payoffs and says, you guys handle it. The difference is Dylan Howard gets very intimately involved in helping this situation along, mainly because of Keith Davidson is concerned about his being paid.
What's interesting to me, too, now, and actually, let me come to you, Vaughn, real quickly. I understand that they are back, that the cross-examination of Stormy Daniels has continued. I wonder if there's a window here where on the redirect, I don't know that we'll get to that today, but if they try to compress this timeline, again, all the details certainly remind us that this is a human being. And I'm guilty of this, too. Porn star Stormy Daniels, porn star Stormy Daniels. We say it like it's one word. She brought herself to life today in a way that is beyond the caricature. And I know that some of that had a legal repercussion that's still clanging around inside that courtroom. But the gun to the head in terms of the frenetic pace of the scheme for which Trump is facing felony charges. Really, the launch to that is the release of Access Hollywood tape. The difference between how her story was treated before and after is so stark and cannot be overstated, it would seem.
Not at all. And the fact is also, I think when we talk about the human experience, right? we're all human, and where we were in 2006 was different than 2015 versus where we all are today in 2024. In a lot of ways, when you talk about the motivations of, let's say, Donald Trump, number one, even before we get to Stormy Daniels, Donald Trump's motivations were to call up the New York Post himself and act like he wasn't Donald Trump, and though releasing to the tabloids that he was running around town with women around New York, right? And that was an early motivation of Donald Trump before he went on to become a presidential candidate for the White House. And that led him to August 2015, allegedly to working up a scheme with David Pecker and Michael Cohen to keep those very types of stories from becoming public over the next year and a half. And of course, when he got into the White House, even greater motivation to make sure that his image was protected in the minds of his family and the public at large. But when you're talking about Stormy Daniels, she made clear that, in 2011, she did not want her story to at least be made public. Back when In Touch magazine called her up and said that we're going to run a story with or without your comment. So she said, okay, I'm going to go and, according to her testimony, try to shape the narrative of it. But then when the Dirty.com posted the publication, she had her attorney send a note asking them to take down the story because, again, she did not want her story to be publicly out there unless she was able to craft her own story. And repeatedly, over the course of all of these hours, we have heard Stormy Daniels repeatedly come back to this being her story. And you heard Susan Nicholas, Donald Trump's attorney, get at the idea that, well, it was convenient for you to share your story because you made a lot of money when you told people that you had sex with Donald Trump. And she made the clear statement in front of this jury, well, this is my story. I did have sex with Donald Trump. So, a motivation for her come 2016, potentially looking to share a story was, in her words, saying that, she was fearful and she wanted to make sure that she and her family were not harmed. And that is what the jury, in her own words, sitting mere feet away from her, that is the story that they heard from one individual today. And they may never hear Donald Trump share his side of the story. So it may be only Stormy Daniels and Donald Trump's attorneys that are going to be the ones to be able to make the case and explain the situation over the course of these 18 years to them.
Andrew, just to underscore what Vaughn is saying, they're talking about the Wall Street Journal story. Did the Wall Street Journal reach out to you for comment? Yes. Did you respond to them? No. Why didn't you respond? Well, I had an NDA. Was Trump elected president approximately 4 days after this article came out? Yes. Let me ask you about 2017. What was your life like in 2017? Stormy Daniels. It was my best year ever. I was writing and directing very successful adult films. I won my Best Director award. My horse that I bought was ranked 8th in the world. My neighbors who lived next door didn't know who I was. They just knew me as Mom. You didn't say anything about Trump during this time? No. In January 2018, did you come to learn that the Wall Street Journal was planning on writing about your experience with Trump? Yes. Did they reach you for comment? Yes. Did you comment? No. Why not? I was respecting the NDA. I mean, there's so much testimony that she abided by the silence. She abides by the hush money. It seems difficult to impeach the hush money itself when you've got her now keeping Trump secrets.
Yeah, so I'm really fascinated by what's going to happen on redirect when Cross is over, because as you said, look, the time period that is critical here is that there was no interest pre-Access Hollywood, and then from Access Hollywood to the election. That is the key time period. But all of the sort of efforts to dirty her up, to say, she's a liar and her story changed, is really belied by what happens next, where she actually enters into an NDA and lives by it. And what's fascinating, and it'll be interesting to see whether it comes out on redirect, is she lives by it. And ultimately, when this story is released and says this is what happened, she doesn't just go out and talk about it. She brings a lawsuit, which she wins in California, to say, I should not be bound by this. And you know what happens in that lawsuit? That's relevant to this case. Donald Trump submits a brief where he says over and over again, I reimbursed Michael Cohen for the hush money payments.
Oh, my God. So, is that evidence in this trial?
It's not yet. They have put in different evidence where he has said that, but he has tweeted it. There's a brief on it. It's like, I was reading this the other day, and it just goes over and over again. So, that is so critical because, again, just quick point, the defense lawyer opened to the jury saying this was not reimbursed to Michael Cohen. And this is Donald Trump has said in a court of law that he did.